This session will focus on plugging in local data sets to the Arizona NextGen 911 address management solution. We will learn to add local data sets by appending the site structure address points and the road center lines to the template feature classes provided in the solution. We're going to assume that you've already downloaded the desktop application template from AZGO and go ahead and open the NG911 Address Management Solution Pro project file. Project now open, we will want to use the map ribbon and select the Add Data button. Selecting Add Data to the map. Now we will navigate in our file directory to the local site structure address points and road center lines that we want to append or add to the feature class templates. You will be appending your local data set to an empty feature class. You may also want to open the field view for your road center lines local schema and compare it side by side to the road center line feature class template that has been provided in this Pro Project template. Reason being is you can really dive deep into not only the data design, looking at what those domains are outlining, but additionally, you can see where nulls are not going to be accepted in the feature class template, in which case you will need to do some front work with your data to ensure that any fields in the feature class template that do not allow nulls, which would mean they are unchecked, will need to be populated with a value. An example of that would be street name. You cannot have null as a value, it must be populated. Same thing with address ranges, those will need to be populated, as well as the road centerline NINA globally unique ID. So you can pan down that feature class field view and do a side-by-side to your data. Might also be helpful when you're doing the schema mapping in that append process to have a little bit more familiarity with your local data compared to what the fields are in NINA's GIS data model. To begin the appending process, what we're going to actually use are tasks that have been established to kind of walk you through the steps to appending your data to the feature class templates. If you don't have this task pane pinned, you can also open it by utilizing the View ribbon and selecting Tasks, or by selecting the Tasks folder in the Catalog pane and selecting Start Appending Local Data Task. Having already done a side-by-side with our local data field view and the feature class template field view, we can go ahead and begin these tasks starting with appending road centerline data. We will plug in the local data set as the input data set. The field matching type has been set to use the field map to reconcile field differences, and you'll notice that field map section actually went ahead and hit reset, that small button with the 3 lines and a blue kind of arrow. That's going to reset the schema mapping to naturally map as many fields in your local data set that align with the Arizona GIS NG911 data model. Once you've gone through and reviewed any of the fields that have a parentheses 0 and mapped to your source data, you go ahead and run the append tool. The last step in this task for appending to road centerline Feature Class Template is to turn on those attribute rules so that you're truly getting the most bang for your buck and utilizing the complex data design in this Pro Project template. Before we continue to site structure address points, we want to take the time to actually review what the appended data looks like compared to the local data that we utilized. Here we're looking at Graham County roads. We'll add that to the current map and just do a side-by-side. We want to review to ensure that during that append process we didn't lose any of the records, so we have a one-to-one count. Additionally, it's good to go through and review the fields to ensure that during that field mapping process you didn't accidentally overlook maybe the longitude or latitude fields during that process. If you do find that you accidentally overlooked one, you can always select all in the road centerline feature class template or delete all of the records and then go through that task of appending road centerline data again, ensuring that during that step of field mapping you're really taking your time to align your source data to the target data, which would be the road centerline feature class template. Now that we've reviewed the attributes and everything's looking good, we'll go ahead and begin our second task for kind of getting started with the feature class templates in the Pro project. We began the append process basically the same way we did the road center lines. Hit that refresh button so that you can naturally map as many fields, kind of speeds up the process, and then you just take your time aligning your local source data to the output fields or the feature class template for site structure address points. So any of these fields that have a parentheses 0, you just want to triple check, double check, take your time, and make sure you map to carry that data over to the correct field in the feature class template. Taking your time during this process will definitely save you some headaches in the long run. Now that we've taken the time to field map our source data set to the target data set or the feature class template, we will go to the next step in the task, which will be to again turn on the attribute rules. We're going to enable those attribute rules so that we can get kind of the most bang for our buck in utilizing this address management solution. Now that we've completed the tasks, we can close that pan out. You can leave it around if you'd like. Then we're just going to do a quick review of the data that was appended compared to the original source data. So we can select a few records just to kind of do a thorough check, change the attribute table to just show our selected records in the table and just kind of pan across, look at the address numbers, look at the NGUID, just making sure that everything kind of transferred over as expected. This is always a good process, good workflow. For review, we learned how to add our local data set to the address management solution, as well as utilizing the geoprocessing tool called Append to append both the site structure address points and the road centerline data sets to the feature class templates in the address management solution. We can now take a deeper dive into the NG911 Editing Pro project template by reviewing the Getting Started training video or looking at some of the site structure address point or road center line editing tool template videos. Happy mapping!